I am one of 2,600 children that have been removed from my home in order to be kept safe. Children like me are left home alone for long periods of time. Children like me are left home to cook and care for my brothers and sisters. Children like me are hit with belts and burned with cigarettes. Children like me are sexually abused. Children like me have no running water, no lights, and no heat. Children like me are picked on in school because of how we smell and the clothes we wear. Children like me cannot go home. Children like me are waiting for a new family to start a new life. However, some of us will never have a new family. Here are our stories.
Honestly, emancipation made me feel good. Once I understood the gist of it, I thought, okay, wow, 18, I'm grown, I've been abused, I've been to detention centers, I've been to several placement. I can finally make decisions for myself. What I did not know is that I would no longer have the social worker to depend on. Because I no longer wanted to stay in the foster home that I lived in, I went to college, started to live on my own, and shortly thereafter I became homeless. If I knew that I would have been homeless, my first year of college would not have been nice, that I would have been sleeping in my car and had nowhere to go for holiday breaks, I would have been more acceptable of adoption.
Should siblings be kept together?
We feel it's important to parent sibling groups because it keeps the family together. It also provides the kids a little more stability when they go to a home, an environment that they have no clue about. If they have someone that they're comfortable with, it helps them. And the whole point of foster care is basically to reunify, so we're trying to keep that all together.
Being away from my brothers and sisters was very hard because I was the oldest and was used to babysitting them, so I felt lonely.
If I didn't have that connection with my sister, I think I would have been lost. There's their blood connection there. They need to know that there's someone out there that's part of their family that they keep in contact with on a consistent basis. I mean that old adage that blood is thicker than water, it sure is.
Facing issues that so many foster children face or adopted children face on a regular basis, that mentorship from an older brother or sister, or just being able to talk to your sibling, someone who knows exactly what you've been through, is really important in the process. So I just attempt to make every effort in contacting them.
My brothers are currently adopted, and me, I'm not adopted, but like I said, I wanted to be adopted with my brothers if I was to be adopted.
It's just like that we belong together.
And if he wasn't here, everybody wouldn't be saying, is that your twin and he's your twin.
I only wanted one child. They called me up and told me that they had a brother and a sister. And I said, well, all I want is one. I'll pray that you find someone to adopt both of them. I said, but it's not me and my husband. I said, because I just want one. My husband said, I have rights. I want to see both of them. And I said, wow. I said, okay. So we went and we visited the little girl, and I had sucker written across my forehead. She came right to me and wouldn't take her eyes off of me, and I fell in love with her. And then I met the little brother, which was in Lodi, and he was a sweetheart too. And I said, oh man. I said, I guess I have a boy and a girl. So we ended up adopting both of them.
Adopting in addition to having a biological child.
And sometimes you just get little side comments, and those sort of make your transition a little bit harder. But again, the communication between yourself and your foster parent, and to what extent can they resolve those issues, makes it all the better. And that will actually make you feel more included as well.
Biological kids, and you're thinking about adopting and fostering, that you should just introduce them and just take it a day at a time. Just relax. Take them to little outings and let them just get to know each other. And that'll fall right in place.
But
it's like a puzzle.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. He does it all the time anyway.
I'm sorry. But most important, for them to realize that children do fuss and fight with each other.
Yeah, it's a norm.
It's not the end of the world just because they have a tiff with each other. Kids, it's really strange. They have a way of working things out. And sometimes we as adults, we just have to allow them that space to get to know each
It's
other.
a comfort zone for
Yeah.
both everybody.
Yeah, it really is.
What can a family provide?
You think that, you can do almost anything when you're in a situation where, you're not concerned about whether or not you're going to eat. You're not concerned about whether or not your life is in danger at that point. You're not concerned about whether or not, your parents are not in a safe environment. You just can, excel in a situation where you have peace.
They made me feel like I was part of the family. They sat me down and introduced me to the family and, allowed me to adjust slowly to the new surroundings and introduced me to rules and expectations that I can expect from them and what they can expect from me.
It made me feel comfortable that they started helping me with my problems when I first came into their home.
The love, the care, the home, just period, just everything.
Bonding with the foster kids, it just comes naturally for me. They walk through my door and they're mine. I have a perception that they are going to go home. However, I still feel the need to parent them as if they were mine because the kids sense that, and if they have a lot of love, then they'll be, a little more comfortable in my home. So the bonding process is really important to the child's behavior, their development, and without it, they wouldn't succeed in your home.
Why is it important to stay connected to family?
I think that it's important, even if you get adopted, to stay in contact with your biological family, because even having been adopted, you don't want to forget where you've come from. You don't want to cut off those relationships. You don't want to cut out those times. You don't want to cut out those memories, because those memories and times are what molded you into the person that you are now.
Understand that they're going to always, always love their parents, always, and notwithstanding what they did to them.
We did play a role in working with all of the birth families of our children. Some of those were very difficult. Others were very easy. We find that it's very important to work with the birth parents, regardless of their circumstances.
What are the challenges and fears?
The thing that I like least about foster care is moving around. It's making a transition from one family to the next, because you feel like you're part of that family. And when the time comes for you to remove yourself, it's a really hard process. That comfort is there. And to be removed from that comfort every 6 months or whatever the protocol is until they can find permanent placement sometimes hurts.
If the foster child feels rejected or abandoned, then I think they tend to lash out in a way where the foster parent look at it as he's a bad kid, but really he's just expressing himself and he just letting know that he doesn't feel comfortable.
Maybe the family wasn't gonna like me, or I wasn't gonna like the family, or they just weren't gonna treat me right. So I just thought the worst for everything. But then when I came to the family and I talked to them and I got to know them and I stayed with them, I understood that they really wanted me to be here and that they loved me.
It's a fear with everything. So I think I was excited, but yes, I was a little bit fearful. Wow, getting ready to take on 2 more children. Yes, a little fear there, a little fear. Jacqueline was in a fashion show. We went to her fashion show that night, and Dantes asked me, he goes, "Is this the school I'm going to be going to, next year?" And I kind of looked at him and like, "Honey, you're not going to be here next year because you have some problems that I just cannot handle. I don't know how to help you." And he just looked at me. He said, "You don't have to help me. You just need to love me." And I thought I was about to bawl everywhere. It was her fashion show, and I'm sitting there crying like, oh my goodness, what am I doing to this kid? And I realized at that point that everyone who had come into his life had given up at some point. So he was acting this way because no one was committing to him. And that was my job.